Okay, so we're recording now. Thank you everyone for joining us for Living a Remarkable Life. Today we're talking about building relationships. And I'm here with my co-host Kevin Langman. And you can follow us both on our respective blogs. Mine is RebeccaPalmer.ca. And Kevin, yours is?
AdventurousIntrovert.com.
Awesome. So if you're just joining us for the first time, we have a chat each week on Saturdays at 11 a.m. EST, and we just chat about different things, about living a remarkable life and living life the best that we can.
Mm-hmm.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about building relationships, and that's not only relationships online, but also in person. And it's so very important to form good relationships. We have to move away from the thought of selling to people, of promoting our own agendas and things like that, and actually get to know people. So I know Kevin and I, we're in different cities, different provinces, about, 2 time zones apart, yet we've still been able to connect and come online to do these type of chats. So it's absolutely wonderful. We're going to wait to bring anybody online yet until we get going a little bit more, and then we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
And so building relationships. Kevin, what type of relationships are you building online?
Online, I'd say the most important thing for me for online relationships is finding people doing similar work to me. So people who are, maybe living a little bit of an alternative life, not working a traditional career, as I left my traditional career 6 weeks ago. So online, I definitely focus on finding people who are also kind of self-starters, self-employed, building their own businesses, and building that kind of network to help support me, and also so I can help, offer support to other people who are in similar spots as I am.
Awesome. And I know for myself, I work to build online relationships and in my community. And what I strive to do is to find people who are basically my tribe. I strive to find like-minded people who share similar interests, who will help lift me up and help move each other forward. So as Jim Rohn says, it's the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with is who you ideally are going to be. So we want to make sure as we're building our relationships in public or online that we're building them with the people, the right people, and moving forward with the right people, because that really helps us as we go through life, as we build businesses, as we work on our personal selves. So we need to do that properly. So let's get back to relationships, building relationships. So what do you do when you're first starting out? How do you start to build relationships? What are your 5 major do's and don'ts, Kevin?
I'd say definitely one of the biggest is to listen actively and not try to project my own desires or wants onto how I want that relationship to form, especially when it's first starting out. I mean, when you meet somebody new, you don't know what they're all about, and unless you listen to them talk and ask, open-ended questions and really authentically try to learn about them, you're gonna probably struggle to get that relationship off on a good start, at least in the eyes of the other person, because I think as people, we all like to be heard, and I know when people are starting relationships with me, that's one of the biggest things I'll first notice is if they're really paying attention to what I'm saying, or if they're just, in it for their own head, I guess.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And something that I found when I started networking, I originally went out there and I started trying to put my ideas on other people. I tried to sell, I tried to promote, and so many of us, when we start networking, we have no idea how to do it properly. So it is very important, as Kevin mentioned, you need to actively listen to other people. You need to help connect people to other people. It's not about you. It's about how you can help others connect to the right people. And when you can connect somebody to who they need to connect to, they're going to remember you, and you're going to have that longer lasting relationship, far better than if you simply went around a room and handed everybody a business card, or put up a post on Twitter or Facebook trying to sell your project or product or anything like that. The number one turnoff for me is people who come into a room and do nothing but hand out their business card and refuse to actually talk to you about their interests or their passion or anything they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you kind of touched on another good point there, and that's to really genuinely want to help people and be asking, you know, actively, what do you need? What can I do to help you? Because I mean, I think helping others is definitely one of the most important ways that you can build a relationship. And unless you ask what people need, it's going to be hard for you to find out exactly what it is. I mean, you could try and guess and infer, but you know what they say about assuming. Asking what people need and then doing your best to either help them yourself or putting them in touch with maybe somebody else from your network who can help them out is a great way to start that relationship off.
For sure, for sure. Now, you and I both do networking in person and online.
Yep.
What are some of the best tools you find for networking?
I guess for networking online, meetup.com is a great site that I use a lot to find local groups, which I can then go take it into the real world and network with. I mean, if you live in a big city, there's probably a meetup group for whatever interest you might have, and it's just a matter of searching them out. Other tools, I mean, Facebook is a great one to keep in contact. LinkedIn as well. To see. We had a good example of using LinkedIn to network this past week, Rebecca, with you looking to apply for a job here in Calgary. I searched the company in my LinkedIn, found out I had a connection that worked there, and was able to help, you know, get your resume in directly to the hiring manager. So I think LinkedIn is a great tool for something like that.
Which is pretty impressive considering I'm 2 provinces away and thus far know nobody in Calgary. So it's wonderful that we can now connect through our mutual connections and reach out to people. It's no longer 6 degrees of separation. It's about 3 degrees because chances are you are connected to people you would never imagine you're connected to. Yes, it is a live show. Thank you for asking 3RAQ.
Yeah, that's another example there. I went to a conference last Friday, and one of the speakers, he's a pretty big coach here in Calgary, and he was talking about LinkedIn, and he said, you know, when I meet people, I just type them into my LinkedIn app and see who we have in common. And I typed the speaker's name in, and we had 8 common connections. So, it's amazing how connected we really are, and these tools can really put that on display.
It really is. And one of the things that I really like about LinkedIn is the fact that you can reach out and connect to some people. It can be a little bit more difficult, but if you have a mutual connection, it can really help connect you further. And it lets you see also who is working for companies. So if you're doing anything like job hunting or trying to find connections to a big corporation, use LinkedIn to its advantage. You use your search functions and things like that because you can find out who works in HR, you can find out who hires speakers, all that from checking out their LinkedIn profiles. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about Twitter and how we can use Twitter for building relationships. I know I'm a huge Twitter fan. I think, Kevin, you're just starting out a little bit more.
Yep. That's definitely more your area of expertise than mine.
Yeah, so I have used Twitter probably to find 90% of the opportunities I've ended up being involved in the last 5 years, including World Domination Summit, where Kevin and I ended up being connected. So for Twitter is basically access to anyone in the world that you want to talk to, because with Twitter, you can tweet to anybody at all. There's no block on who you can connect with, no block on who you can message. It's not a guaranteed response by any means, but if you start connecting with people, okay, we have the appearance by the child and the daughter cooking bacon in the background. How many chats do we have that don't end up with a child in them?
Not too many.
I don't think there's many that we go without. He's being a ninja. Anyways, back to Twitter. Twitter is my absolute favorite. I have met so many people all over the world. Opportunities like World Domination Summit, like Socialite, all events that I ended up building my network because I was able to reach out to different groups. So there are lots of things you can do on Twitter to build your relationships. First off, you have to engage with other people. So that means not just being a broadcaster, not just tweeting out information. You need to be engaging. So if you see an interesting tweet, reply to it. If there's somebody you want to talk to and they're tweeting about something, or you can offer them advice or help, send them a tweet and send them a referral link to maybe an article that gives them the information they're looking for, or connect them to a person that they're looking to connect to, or maybe they're looking for a restaurant nearby or something like that. So if you can help people connect to what they need, that helps build your engagement with that person. The other thing on Twitter is Twitter chats. There are so many wonderful Twitter chats out there on everything from content marketing to relationship building to millennials to paid sponsored chats for things like Canadian beef and stuff like that, where you get on these chats. There's about 8 to 10 questions, and with those 8 to 10 questions, everybody on the feed sort of gets to respond and answer. Now, some people sit back and they just listen and read. Some people are replying. You find out who sort of knows a little bit more about the topic. But those are absolutely excellent ways to meet people. Mist, I would disagree with you that it's not personal like Facebook, because for me, I have had a lot of personal Twitter chats. Some in a group setting, some have been moved to private messages. But definitely, it is a great way to connect with people on a more personal level, because you're really engaging with people. Facebook, you're posting your pictures, you're posting your status updates, but not necessarily regularly engaging directly with individuals. So I do love Twitter and Twitter chats for that. Yeah.
Do you have any? It looks like Stephanie's asking about some tips for using Twitter more effectively. Do you have any sites or resources that you could suggest for learning how to use Twitter better?
At some point I did a blog. I'll have to look for it. I don't have a site offhand, but I would say simply start engaging with people, start returning tweets to other people, start sending tweets to other people. Look at a Twitter hashtag and join the Twitter hashtag and post on it. Look at people who have maybe a fair amount of followers on a subject you like. It doesn't have to be thousands, because you want to have people who have valuable followers. Gary V is absolutely amazing. It is busy in my house. The 17-year-old's making bacon, and it apparently is setting off the fire alarm. So yeah, it's busy. There's always something during our chats on Saturdays. Anyways, back to Twitter. Gary V, follow at Gary V. Not only is he amazing and does awesome daily videos or weekly videos, but he is really big on Twitter. And even though he has thousands and thousands of followers, he responds to people. He will actually tweet back to you and things like that. Follow chats like Atomic Chat, hashtag Media Chat, Millennial Talk, and there's any number. If you Google Twitter chats, you'll come up with a whole list of different chats. The other thing to do is start using Twitter lists. So if you go to any of the people who are doing a lot of tweeting, most of them will have different lists, and you can follow all the people on that list, and it's a great way to get to know more people as you go along. Follow the list. You can create your own list of local people. Yes, sometimes people will put people on a list. I have some curated lists as well. So if anybody's talking about entrepreneurship or certain things, and I have them put me on the list. Basically what a list is it's a collection of people who are talking or tweeting about a subject that you want to talk about. So that is why they might put you on a list, because maybe you're a really interesting person that they want to see more tweets from, or maybe you live in their local area, or you're part of a business or a community that they want to be involved in. Amphilius, I have no idea how to say your name, but I actually like the 140 character limit in actual Twitter, but yes, I agree. It was good to lift it in the direct messages, because that way direct messages can be a little bit longer. Rocco Steady, yeah, we can put you on here for a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's see. So I think you just have to request to join. So we'll have Rocco Steady come on and come on in and share. And it's always open. People can join in. We do watch to make sure people are not just spamming us or jumping in for that. But everybody is welcome to join and join the conversation.
Good.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Kevin. Thanks for sharing your wisdom and light this morning.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, I've been listening. It's a lot of great info, and it sheds a new light and perspective as far as Twitter is concerned. I've been very, very, very active on the Facebook realm of things for the last 4 years, because 4 years as I started doing social media, I was really overwhelmed with the amount of social media that was out there. So I decided to just pick one and focus, and then become a master at one. So I'm good at Twitter. I'm good at Facebook, and I'm good at Instagram. I wanted to pose a situation in my personal business life, and I wanted to see if it was okay for y'all to share some feedback for me.
Of course.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm based out of Houston, Texas. I'm an inspirational hip hop artist, and 4 years ago, I made a decision that I was going to develop relationships and build my family. 50 people a week, 50 brand new people a week, and I would just meet 50 people a week. That's no matter rain or shine. It wasn't any more, it wasn't any less. But now I've developed my family to about 10,000 people for the last 4 years. And I would say 2,000 of them I've developed relationships. I actually know their families, I know who they are, and if I made a personal phone call, the likelihood of them supporting my album would be higher. You know? Well, my question is, how do I organize human body and maximize my opportunity to be efficient in communicating with them, and sort of while I'm developing and building more fan base and more followers around the world, how do I my organization intact? Do y'all know any organization tactics or tech?
So what I would suggest is you may want to look into a Facebook group. You can do private groups and put your groups of people into either different groups, or use your people who are the common, the people who are most engaged with you. You could add them to a special group or invite them to join a special group. That will help you manage them a little bit, and especially manage the people who are really interested in being part of your community, because that's what you're building. You're building a community. So for Facebook, that would be my suggestion, and that way you can really manage who's in the group and who you're doing things with.
Yeah, I think that's
so I would say that would be your best bet. In terms of Twitter, if you want to build relationships on Twitter or into groups, you can actually start a hashtag specifically for your followers and go that way. And then you can hold things like a weekly chat or a monthly chat using that hashtag. And what you do is then you're inviting everybody to join you, and they can participate using that chat, a hashtag, to interact with each other. So it's really interacting with your community.
Right, it's very cool. Thank you, Rebecca.
And
you're welcome.
I don't know how geographically spread out your fan base is, and how much traveling around you do. But if you want to maybe look at taking it into the real world, out of the online world with some of these groups, I would really suggest maybe potentially using meetup.com to create some meetups in different cities as you're traveling around, and give those fans, those true hardcore fans, a chance to come out and meet up with you. Another way you can do that, Rebecca, I don't know if you have any experience with this, is I know some popular people on Twitter will do tweet ups when they go travel around, which is basically allowing their Twitter followers to come and meet up with them at a place, when they're in town.
Yes, I've actually hosted tweet ups before. I find they're not happening quite as often as they used to, but it's always a good opportunity to set up some type of tweet up if you're in a local area and you have a lot of followers. People like Amanda Palmer have loyal followers all over the world. So when she goes to a different community, she often sets up different events or at least broadcasts and lets them know where she is and what she's doing. So a tweet up could be a good way to meet people in person. And along with your hashtag, you're really going to be able to streamline your target audience and have a way for people to find you. And of course, you can advertise your tweet ups on Facebook or anything else. You said Instagram is what you're using?
Yeah, I use
Instagram well?
and Facebook. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you can use your hashtag on Instagram and on Twitter. You can throw it on Facebook too. It has a little bit of clout on Facebook, but not as much as on Instagram or Twitter or anything else.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing your wisdom. I'm gonna let y'all get back. I'm gonna observe from the background. Okay.
All right.
You're welcome.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay, yeah, so we talked about those.
Yeah. I think
let's
we've been
talk
talking
about getting to know people in person.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think we've been talking a lot about the online world, and but it's important, if you can, to take these relationships to the real world. I definitely feel a bit of a sense in this day and age that a lot of people become so reliant on technology that some people are losing that ability to connect in the real world. I mentioned meetup.com earlier. We just talked about tweet ups. I think, it's just a matter of showing up, finding those areas, whether it's conferences or meetups or even just talking to people when you're, walking down the street, showing up and being present, physically present in that moment goes a long way to helping kind of build those relationships.
Yeah, I've had great conversations with people on buses who just happen to have a very aligned ideas and goals as I had. Once I was on a bus in Toronto heading to some after party for an entrepreneurship event, and I was just talking to somebody randomly, and it ended up that we had a lot of random connections and a lot of interest in entrepreneurship. So we had a great conversation. The other thing I suggest is that if there isn't something in your local community, if you can't find something, and there's almost always something.
This, Mom. It's not good. Look.
Sorry, kid interruption again. He's a ninja, so he's coming to see. I haven't quite taught him the whole headphones thing, or at least he doesn't quite listen to that.
Well, look.
Here, come say hi quickly. And then you need to let me finish this. It's because it's all twisted. So this is my ninja Logan. Say hi. Networking with kids can be difficult too, because you do have the kids that you have to worry about. So you need to choose your opportunities really, really wisely. Okay, now wait till Mommy's done the chat and then we can finish some more. So you're going to watch, it is some type of martial arts costume. It looks like Mortal Kombat, and I liked it for that reason, because Mortal Kombat is awesome, and I wish we had a Mortal Kombat meetup. Would that be weird?
Well, probably wouldn't be weird. It'd just be lots of Mortal Kombat talk.
No ninjas in the office. Okay, anyways, back to in-person meetups. So if there's not something in your area, start it. Finish him. Yeah, I'm ready to. So not something in your area, then start it. If you don't think there's something in your area, start looking. So you want to talk to local business people, talk to your library. They often have a list. Call your Chamber of Commerce, look on Meetup, look on Facebook for events, look on LinkedIn for events, talk to people who are in the community, and start talking to them about what they're going to. There's always B&I and Rotary and things like that. You also need to test drive all these community groups. So try and show up where you can at least once to the different events and find out whether the people there are the tribe that you want to get to know. Find out what works for you, because you're going to find out that not everything is the right group for you. It may not align with your passions. It may not align with your goals. Perhaps it's all multi-level marketing businesses who just want to sell you but don't really want to get to know you. For me, that's a huge turnoff. And you can always start something yourself. So if you want to do something like have an open coffee club, start that. We have a group that we do that is Be nice. That is not true. Be nice. What am I missing?
You put this in my.
Okay, out you go. I'll help you in a minute.
Put it in.
I
don't
think
have it. But network marketers are not what I'm interested in. I do not personally want people to be handing me flyers and don't want to know anything about it. So I know lots of great network marketers, but they don't push the product on me.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point. You know, network marketers can get painted with a bad brush because there are a lot, honestly, out there who all they do is show up and try to sell their product. That being said, there are definitely some, and I'm good friends with some of my family even, who that is their business, and that's totally okay. And but they respect that that's just to meet people and not as a sales method. And Rebecca, and I think Rob mentioned it as well. Problems with some networking events is people are there just to sell themselves, sell their products.
For sure.
And I think, like you were talking about test driving, finding groups where it is more about developing genuine connections or creating your own groups. That's something I've done. And just making sure you have very clear ground rules to say, we're here to connect with each other, be respectful of other time, no selling, this sort of thing goes a long way to helping it become more authentically human, I think.
For sure. And just so everybody knows, I'm not against networkers. I just choose not to be networking in groups that are solely network marketers who don't want to build relationships, because I'm looking for real authentic relationships. I'm not looking for simply transactional relationships, which I think is one of the main points. I don't want you to see me as a number or just another dollar sign for someone you can sell a product to. I want you to see me as someone that you can connect with, someone who will help you grow your business and help you meet people. So things like when people add you on LinkedIn and immediately try and sell you something, or they come up to you and immediately give you a flyer for something, that's what I don't like, and that's what I avoid when I'm out. So that is why I mentioned network marketers. We do have a few groups locally that have very high levels of network marketers who don't want to connect. They just want to sell to you. So that's where I'm coming from there. And hopefully we can work to help people learn how to actually build relationships instead of just sell to people. Yeah.
Now, shifting gears a little bit, I think, you know, talking about connecting with people in person, me being an introvert myself, I think a lot of people on this call probably lean towards the introverted side. I mean, introverts make up 1/3 to 50% of the population. And I know that the in-person connecting can be something that is pretty scary to people who lean towards the introverted side. So I thought maybe I'd share a few tips that I found successful for myself, being someone who used to be very heavily introverted, to get better at connecting and networking with people in person, because it has taken me some time, but I think I definitely have improved. So a few of my favorite tips for connecting with people, one of my favorites is the 3-second rule. And that basically is, if you see somebody you want to talk to, you've got 3 seconds to go up and start a conversation with them, because if you don't, you're going to get stuck in your head. And I know myself, I'd end up talking myself out of going and talking to this person because I just, I waited too long to do it. So that 3-second rule is great. Another one is a bit of a mindset shift, and that is to look at strangers as friends you haven't met yet. People are generally nice and friendly and helpful, and I think our brain can kind of take over and worry that people are going to be mean or whatnot, but most people aren't mean. So yeah, exactly. Never see a stranger. Just look at people, friends you haven't met yet. And I find for myself that makes it much more comfortable to go up and start talking and start building a relationship with people.
For sure. And I do love your point about the 3-second rule. It is absolutely right on. The other thing I want people to do is remember to not be afraid to step up and step forward and join into conversations and groups, because I know as introverts and as people who are new to networking that it can be very, very hard to really join in and start to get to know people. So face your fears and step up and start talking to people as well, and realize that half of them are just as scared as you are to join in, and you just need to get to know people. It's the one way that I went from knowing absolutely no one, having been at home for many years and just working in an assistant position to years, to now having contacts throughout my community and across the world, just by joining in, stepping up, facing my fear and joining in.
Yep, and then I guess another point to make if you are introverted is you're going out and it's going to be energy. It takes a lot of energy to be meeting people and connecting with people, and just being out in large groups if you're someone who tends towards the introverted side of the spectrum. And I think it's important to accept that.
You're not even listening.
There's a lot of background noise there. Important to take that time for yourself. So, put yourself out there, go connect with people. But when you start to feel that your energy levels are dropping and you're, maybe not, you need a break, that's okay. Go off by yourself for a while, reflect on the people you've met, kind of re-energize, do whatever it is you need to do. And come back to it. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Anis, if you would like to join us in the conversation, just click on the join seat in the screen there, and Rebecca can let you in as the host.
Yeah. Yes, I'm just watching to see who is requesting, and as long as you are talking in the feed, for the most part, we are accepting you in. We have had some issues with some weird call-in. So if you'd like to talk, Anis, come on in and request to come into the chat. So we just want to make sure that you're taking part in the chat before we add you. Yes, that is the one issue, I guess, with some social media, is that you do get some people who are not necessarily the people you want on different chats, who are trying to promote some very weird things. I don't know how to explain it. Any idea?
It's kind of similar to when you go to networking events and people come and they're not there for the topic at hand. They're just there to promote themselves. So yeah, that's not what we want, obviously. Yeah,
well, it's not even promoting themselves. It's just being some spam accounts, basically, that have requested just to sort of show up onto the list of speakers. And while we want everybody to come in, we don't want those spam accounts or people who are promoting hate.
No, exactly. So with that,
yes.
Welcome to Abdo.
Yes, welcome to our guests. We have Abdo and we have Simo, who's trying to join us as well. So,
Abdo's gone, and looks like
we've got Simo still trying to come on audio. Go ahead, Simo.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thanks. And you?
Do you have any questions for us?
About the subject.
I
can't really hear you.
Yeah, your audio's not very good.
Okay.
Maybe it's not going to work with the poor internet signal.
I don't think it is. Okay.
All right, we'll carry on.
Okay, so we've covered some in-person building. We've covered how to find your new networks.
What about maintaining relationships?
Good topic. Follow up.
Yeah.
You have to follow up with the connections that you make. And I admit it's one of the things that I suck at. I try and make sure that I connect with everybody I've connected with and follow up with them. But you get busy. You leave an event and you either can't remember the name, or you lose the contact information, or you just forget. So it's really important. Do whatever you can at the event to do things to remember the person, whether it's associating some keyword to try and remember them better, or writing down what it was that you wanted to talk to them about. That, I think, is one of the main keys.
Yep.
If you meet someone and you're not going to remember who they are specifically necessarily, but take the name, write down what it was you wanted to talk to them about, or what it was that you had a connection about, and then follow up from there. So you can follow up through emails, you can follow up through Facebook, through LinkedIn, through Twitter, but do connect as soon as possible.
Yeah, and you know, when you're connecting with somebody, really try, I think, to not, obviously not make it just about you, but to ask them or offer help or offer ideas. You know, if it's, especially if it's someone that you don't, you know, you maybe don't know too well, if you are able to catch something that they're really interested about, you know, if you find something that that person might find beneficial, to share that with them and offer to help is a great way to start building that relationship. But I think you're bang on about the importance of following up. And I think, as someone who sometimes struggles with remembering names, that strategy of writing down or taking a note, even just pulling out your phone right after you meet them, making a quick note about their name, what you talked about, what you maybe want to follow up about with, is a great strategy.
Yeah, I know one person who actually takes a picture with the person that they want to follow up with and records it right in their phone at that time. That way you have both the name and face recognition. So we have Walid and Anas joining us right now. Do you have any questions or comments? I really miss the door in my office. I really, really do. Yeah, I need a new door.
Yeah, it might help a little.
Yes. Okay. Well, I think we're having connection problems again.
Yeah.
You're welcome to talk, Walid. Are you there? Okay, I'm going to disconnect. Come back on. Oh, there you are. Are you there?
I don't think so.
Okay, so I'm going to remove you and come back on and try again. That might work better. Anas, are you there?
Doesn't look like it.
No, okay. So the seats are open up. If anybody else wants to join us, go ahead.
Hey, we're on the top 4 Blabs going on right now on the Blab.
Oh, awesome.
That's kind of cool.
Awesome. Yeah, it does seem, Walid, that there are some issues with connections. Kevin and I often end up with a bad signal or audio issue ourselves. Bad camera or bad mic, who knows?
Yes.
It's all we can do. Do you have a question you want to put in the topic or comment? Because we can mention that for you if you'd like.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Chuck.
If you can't get in the video, there's the text chat for sure.
Yes. And Chuck, thank you. Relationship building is so, so important. So we need to help each other learn how to do it better.
How do you, that's a question, good question for you, I think, Rebecca.
Oh, how do you deal with the average lifespan of a tweet? 24 minutes. Well, you know what? You're either going to get traction off your tweet or you're not. If your audience is full of people you engage with, then you're going to get a little bit more, but you can't worry about the lifespan of a tweet. You really can't. If you're not getting any engagement from your tweet, then tweet something else. Tweet with people. The most engagement I get usually comes from my Twitter chats, or if I directly mention someone in my chat or in my tweet. So if I say, hey, Ross Kincaid, who I was hoping would join us today, let's talk about young entrepreneurs, then I engage him and we start having a conversation on that. The other thing that really gets people engaged is things like bacon. If you start talking about bacon on Twitter, it's a huge possibility that half the people in your feed are suddenly going to start tweeting about bacon back at you. I think the other day we came up with an idea related to bacon. It ended up being about a mini moose farm to train Canadian mooseketeers. From tweets. Sometimes tweeting is just having fun too, because when you engage in silliness, such as you would do at Spoof Chat, then you actually connect with people on that other level. And the people I connect with there are also in very high level media chats and things like that. So I hope that answers that question a little bit. How often daily to make a point to engage with someone new? I try and engage with somebody new at least a couple times daily. Not every Twitter account is going to be an active, engaged user, because there are an awful lot of broadcasters out there, and not everybody is online all the time to engage with you. So
yeah, and I think
go with it.
just spending a little more time on that question, it's important to also have boundaries around, I think, how much time you're spending trying to connect and network with people, because with the social media platforms we have and smartphones and everywhere, really, you could be trying to connect all the time, but you have to have boundaries around it. You have to have, technology free times. I personally set a limit kind of about 60 minutes a day of spending directly like online communities and whatnot to limit myself, because otherwise, it can become all encompassing. And although it's important, doing your work is also important.
Yeah, and Chuck mentions here about tweeting consistently and calling your followers regularly. And yes, that can help. You want to call the inactive followers. And one of the great tools for that is Crowdfire app. So you can go on Crowdfire app. It will bring up a list of your followers. And what you can do is you can set it for active last 3 months, last 6 months, last year, and then you can call inactive followers or inactive accounts. So you're not getting rid of the people who are actively still on Twitter, you're getting rid of the people whose accounts are no longer being used, people who have either dropped off of Twitter or have changed their accounts and things like that. So that is a great way to manage it, Crowdfire app. It also lets you see who's not following you and things like that. And I do highly urge, don't get upset if somebody doesn't follow you back, because they're not necessarily the right person to follow you. Yeah. And as you provide value to them, they will start to follow you if you're providing value.
Yeah, and I wanted to go back to something you touched on with the baking comment and having fun. I think the importance of having fun is definitely something to keep foremost in your mind always, especially when it comes to meeting people in person. Whenever you can add an element of fun or play to your activities where you're doing things with people, we're human. We like to have fun and interact like that. And I think I've formed some of the most genuine connections in my life while it's been something fun or exciting or adventures that we're going on. And, when you're talking about networking and connecting, you can sometimes take it too seriously. So don't take yourself too seriously. Be yourself, be authentic, laugh, experience, go on adventures, try new things. All those things can lead to great fun and great connections.
Yep. Walid, let's get to your comment really quickly. You're asking about a guy dating an older woman, like 10 years difference. That's absolutely fine, to each his own. If that's what you want to do, then go for it. We're not really talking about relationship building as in online dating, but definitely do what is right for you. And the most important thing is for you to be engaging with each other and talking to each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, if it's right, it will work. It's no different than a girl dating someone older than her. It's just opposite sex, so it really doesn't matter. Back to Chuck. Yes, fun is absolutely important in online and in-person meetings. The more you can get people to have fun or even act as a kid once in a while, the more engaged you're going to be, the more relationships you're going to build. And having fun is just, it's a great way to spark conversation, whatever you're doing. Let's see, and Chuck, you also mentioned about having more followers than you follow. Ideally, yeah, it's great to have more followers than you're following, but you don't need to have too high of a number. And another part of relationship building is very important to talk about, and that is how to reach out to new networks and how to build new networks. And when you're building a new network, you may end up with a lot more people that you're following than that are following you, because one of the things I just did, I'm trying to reach out to the new network at Calgary. So in that case, I'm going to follow a ton of new people who are involved in the area that I'm looking for. So either in the topic I'm looking at or in the community I'm trying to reach. And I'm going to follow those people and see who I can engage with to build my relationships with that community. So in that case, then your follower following count is going to be off balance. The main thing is to make sure that you're engaging with people, whether you're following them or they're following you. Okay.
Yeah, so now another thing I wanted to make sure we touched on kind of going towards the point where you've established the relationships and you have kind of a two-way relationship going, it's also important to remember that, you know, although helping people and listening to people is important, these relationships can benefit you as well. And it's important to know that it's okay to ask for things. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to put, you know, questions out to your networks to try and help you out. I know I'm guilty sometimes of being afraid to ask for help or ask for support, but it's amazing what will happen when you start asking as well. As long as you're someone who gives and takes, I think, you know, you can benefit tremendously, right?
Yes, you have to show that you're vulnerable. You have to ask for help. You have to be willing to give help and give advice and give forward. And it's really all about being part of being authentic. So you want to be a real person. You can't be one person on your business side and another person on your personal side. Those two sides have to blend because you are your personal brand. So who you are in person and in business really is the same person. And if you're pretending it's two different people, it really is not going to come across well to people. So if you want to be relatable, make sure that you are definitely being your authentic self all the time. Yes, and this is definitely more professional relationships and networking. Sorry for any confusing there. However, the same rules really apply to building relationships between girls and boys or girls and girls or boys and boys, whatever you would like. It's all about getting to know each other authentically, getting to know the real you, and doing the best you can moving forward. Now, I do have some bad news. I do have to leave in about 5 minutes because I'm off to build some relationships in another city. So I have to hop in the car and go for a drive.
Yeah, that's totally okay. I have to get going soon too. So
yes. Well, and the nice thing is that this event that I'm going to is based on an event I went to on Tuesday where I made new connections with someone. And it turns out that that person I connected with aligns completely with what I'm trying to do in my personal and business life, which is help other entrepreneurs. So I'm now off to an event that he's hosting, all in alignment with what I'm trying to do. And it also turns out we have mutual friends. And you will find that as you're building relationships that you keep coming back in a circle where you're finding mutual friends, and it will expand outwards. So you may meet somebody locally who's connected to someone elsewhere. And as you start moving in the communities, you're going to find that you have connections all over the place, and you will run into people in the strangest places. And it just all keeps coming back. So I'd say we have, about 5 minutes for some final questions, and then we'll be stopping the chat. And then you can join us all next week for another topic, and then we'll go from there. So does anybody have some last-minute questions?
And I'm just looking back through my notes of what I wanted to touch on today, and I think we got, you know.
Oh, where do I see Twitter going? I think Twitter's going to be around for quite a while. In the next 24 months, it may change a little bit more, especially with some of the limits. There are people who are moving over to things like Snapchat and Blab and Periscope and stuff like that. However, Twitter still seems to be hanging on pretty well. And it is that source for instant information. You can find out what's going on instantly on Twitter as it happens, which is one of the favorite things I love about it. If I want to watch a Blue Jay game and I can't, I can follow the whole game on Twitter, which is absolutely wonderful, except for when they lost like last night. Go Blue Jays. But it's absolutely awesome. Twitter is like the world's cocktail party. I love that. And Gary Vee is absolutely awesome. He's rocking Twitter like nothing else. But yeah, Twitter is like a big cocktail party. It's a big social. And
I think the other thing, like you said earlier about Twitter, is you can connect with anybody, literally. You can at least try to. Yeah, the very popular people might not reply, but you have that option. So I think it's unique in that sense. And I think its popularity, I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon.
No, neither do I. I hope they don't change the standard tweets too much. I know they were playing with lengths of direct messages and stuff. The direct messages, I like the expanded length. I would not want to see it in regular Twitter. They've introduced Twitter videos, so you can actually record a video tweet now. There's Twitter cards, so you can tweet, and if you tweet a certain link, then it puts up like a little picture underneath with something from your website or whatever. So there's lots of interesting tools you can use with Twitter too, and maybe that's what we need to do in the future, is a Twitter-specific chat.
Yeah.
Maybe in the next few weeks we'll do that.
Yeah, and I think as far as I go, just final thoughts, connecting and building relationships. 3 key things for me are to listen, to want to help people, and to be yourself. Don't try and be somebody you aren't. Be yourself. People can see right through acts and whatnot, so be yourself, and I think that's how you'll find the most success in connecting with people.
Absolutely, and I'll give my 3 final thoughts as well. Again, actively listen. That means looking people in the eyes, paying attention to them, not looking over your shoulder to see if there's somebody better to talk to. 2, engaging with people. So taking action, either tweeting to them, walking up to a group and joining in, forming a group if you need to, whatever you need to do to engage and take action. And then the 3rd thing is to face your fears and don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone and meet new people or try new things.
Yeah.
So those are my 3 tips. Thank you everyone for joining us today. And thank you, Kevin, for co-hosting with me again.
Yep.
You can find us here every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Maybe one day soon it will be kid-free too, but we'll work on that. So thank you very much. And if you want to find us again, my blog is RebeccaPalmer.ca, and you can find me on Twitter at Rebecca Palmer, and Kevin.
AdventurousIntrovert.com.
And you can find him at Kevin B. Langman on Twitter as well. Okay.
All right.
Have a good day, everyone, and we're off.
See you next week.